Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, wherever you are in the world. It's my pleasure today to welcome you to this event brought to you by Foresight Works and Said Business School, University of Oxford. Today's special guest is Gali Glatsimhi, who's VP of Innovation and Quality at NTA Light Rail Tel Aviv. Gali has recently written a book that I have enjoyed very much reading the intro today, which has just been sent to me, first translation into English. So I've thoroughly enjoyed this book, and I'm really excited to be exploring the topic of hurdles, how to succeed as a female leader in the world of megaprojects. My name's Lisa Burrow, and I'm an associate fellow here at Said Business School. I lead and teach on various learning programs relating to major project management. So I'm particularly delighted to be invited to moderate today's session. It absolutely feels that it's at the heart of what I do. And I have really enjoyed spending some preparatory time with Gali, hearing some of her stories. Before I introduce you to Gali, I'd just like to remind you that today's event is interactive. You can submit any questions using the Q&A functions. And as we go through, I'll take a mixture of the live questions and also the ones that have been submitted in advance. So if you've taken the time to do that, thank you very much. And I hope you enjoy listening out for your question. So welcome, Gali. Gali, hi. Well, good. We've got a connection already. I'm glad things are working on the audio front. Gali has almost 20 years of management experience in transportation infrastructures, and including the position of chief executive at Aviv AMCG company that operates in the field of engineering, environment, and infrastructure. Now, I've only known Gali a short time, but what has absolutely shone out for me is that Gali is all about impact. So it's all about what is the effect that is being created by all of her activity. And she actively seeks to create positive change in the world. So that is including taking a small business from 5 employees to 90 staff, while still developing new areas of expertise, signing international partnership agreements, establishing professional external relations. And if all of that isn't enough, Gali is also a mum to 3 boys. And she's got a very strong academic background in the field of geography, urban planning, and has an executive MBA. So it's great to see that you've got time to fit in all of those various things. Just to let the audience into a little secret, when Gali and I had our last meeting, she was testing a new train. So I've never had a conversation with a live test pilot in action. So it was a first for me. Gali, welcome. It's great to have you here. Shall I hand over to you? Would you like to share some slides with us?
Yes, please. Hello, everybody. So just before we start, I want you to take a look at those pictures that I brought. Let's see that. Some pictures that you probably recognize some of the people. And okay, and okay, I have a problem here that I don't have all the pictures, but the idea is that all of those pictures, we have only very few female within those pictures. And this is my world, and I guess this is the world that we live in. And I'm really excited to be here with you. I'm an executive in a mega project, but this is not the reason why I was brought in today to talk to you. The reason is because I wrote a book about this experience and how does it feel like to have such a demanding career and also raising 3 boys. And this book is called Running Hurdles. It is sold in Israel in all the shops, and people actually like it. And we're going to have a translation in English really soon. And I'm also going to send you a taste of it from the prologue after our seminar. And I really hope that you'll all enjoy. So how this came about, First of all, I want to say that I'm not a writer, or at least I never thought of myself as one. I'm not much of a reader either. When I was young, I used to read quite a lot, but with life, kids, Netflix, work, I become too busy to read. But something happened during COVID time. Many people found a new interest. And for me, during quarantine, my spin class was canceled, and that I love. And I had to find something else to do. So I started cycling outdoors, and I got bored. So I found the application for reading, listening to books, to audiobooks. And I was completely addicted to this medium. Since that day, I listen to at least 2 books a week, sorry, not a day, 2 books a week. And I listen to everything, from Anna Karenina's Tolstoy, Ken Follett, and many biographies of really strong women. And I was really inspired. I learned a lot. I took a lot of strength from their stories. And suddenly an idea came to me. Why won't I write my own book? Why won't I share my own story? And because, I have stories. I work in a very male-dominant environment. I'm the only woman in the room. Maybe I can, and I face hurdles that if somebody will hear about them, they can learn from. So yes, I decided to do it. And I started to write. Of course, I was very insecure about that. So after I had a really preliminary version, a very preliminary taste, I sent it to all my friends, my female friends, to see if it's any good and should I carry on. And the most extraordinary thing happened. Not only did they like it, they had their own stories to share that matched the hurdle I described. So what I decided to do is to include their stories with mine. And the book is basically ours. It's not only mine, it's not only my story. So what I want to do today, within the time that we have, I want to give you a taste of the book, and I want to describe some of the hurdles I mentioned there. That I think hurdles that women face within their career. I want to say that none of them is a showstopper, but all of them can be overcome. But overall, I think those hurdles explain the poor statistics of women in top positions. In 2022, we have only 7% of the CEOs at the Fortune 500 companies that are women. And it's like that in almost all fields, and especially in mega projects where I work, that you can hardly see men at all. So let's start with the hurdles. The numbering is referring to the hurdles in the book, but I'll just give you a taste. So the first hurdle is that when I worked in the Israeli road company, an opportunity opened up to me to be the director of the planning division, and I consider applying. The position was really nice promotion for me, professionally and also from the executive point of view. But after mulling it over, I decided to give it a pass. I decided that it was too much. I felt I didn't have the significant knowledge that was necessary. I was not ready for the role. And I also was afraid that I will anger my superiors and that I will be considered arrogant. A colleague of mine, in contrast, was not afraid of anything. He had less knowledge and less experience, but he decided to go for it, and he got the job. And I was very disappointed in myself. And in the following years, I realized that the obligation to be perfect is a hurdle for a woman's career. The HP global company, they carried out an internal survey, and they found out that men will apply to a position if he has only 60% of the qualification. But women, they will apply, they will consider it only if they have you guessed it, 100% of the requirements. So I think that women are very cautious and takes fewer risks in their career, and that is a hurdle. The second hurdle I want to mention is okay. I don't know why I don't have the, okay, the second hurdle is not that. The second hurdle is about they pay us less. Okay, so one day my boss called me to his office and offered me a promotion to be the CEO of a subsidiary company. We spoke for a long time and about the future of the business and ways to grow the business, but he didn't mention anything about paying me more. And me too, I was too concerned to raise it. I felt awkward of putting my own needs on the table. I was afraid that if I would be too demanding, I wouldn't get this position. And I was afraid that it will basically ruin our relationship. So I didn't ask. And I'm not introducing anything new if I'm saying that the salaries women is lower than men. And I think that there are many reasons for that. But one thing that I want to mention is that I think that women don't negotiate and don't demand higher salaries as much as men. And on that day, when I came home, I called my father and I talked to him about the conversation I had with my boss. And he told me, listen, Gali, it's not right. You must demand what you deserve. Your boss knows your worth, and so should you. So I was like, okay, maybe I needed a man to tell me that. So I came back to the boss and I told him, listen, I'm 36 years old, but that was 10 years ago, okay? I'm 36 years old, and I'm not a child, and I'm not at the beginning of my career. And if you want me to do something for you, you need to give me more than a chance. And it worked, surprisingly, and I got what I wanted. So that's the second hurdle. The third one, and I think this one is the biggest hurdle that lies in a puddle of water, and you need to carry on with wet shoes after, is having kids. Okay, this is the most complicated one. And many women think that, that if you want to combine the career and the family, it's going to be too difficult. And the basic assumption is that you can't have it both. And giving birth and the maternity leave that follows holds the continuity of the career. And there are some women who thinks that it's not worth it. The sacrifice of leaving your kid with someone else's care is too much. And the problem is that in such a competitive labor market, if you stop this continuity, you sometimes find yourself out of the game, and it's very difficult to come back. So one thing that is very certain, that I want to say pretty clearly, that if you want to combine having family and kids, you need help, you need support, you need a partner to do it with. It's too goddamn hard and difficult and complicated to do it on your own. And even if you have a partner, it's still very complicated. Why is that? Because from what I know, at least it's like that in Israel, I don't know all around the world, the reality is like that. In most households, the man is doing what he can and the woman is doing the rest. And this is pretty clear, it's pretty obvious. But when you want to do 50-50, it started to get pretty complicated. And what do I mean? It creates a lot of argument, because who determine what is 50-50? And so I want to offer you a tip that we used to use for a married couple to adjust some rules from the business world. Because maybe it not sounds very romantic, but in the business world, we found very nice ways to overcome conflicts by setting clear rules. And this is what we did in our households. We used to look at the week, at the beginning of the week, and think, okay, fine, who's doing what this week? Each one had his own day during the week that he was in charge of the tasks, and the other person was free. So like in the morning, if it was my partner's role, so he was the one who wake the kids up, who make sandwiches, who send them to school. If my kid used to approach me in this day, I would tell him, "Who are you? Do I know you?" I had the time for my own. A friend of mine was so excited when she heard about this message. She said, "Wow, you came up with something really surprising. You don't need to get divorced in order to have 2 evenings free a week." So yeah, I think that this is something that we just need to find the new solutions in order to get along. Okay, the other hurdle I want to mention is being the only woman in the room. It is mostly men who operate in the field of construction and infrastructure, and I'm the only woman in the room. And I hear a lot this sentence, "Gali, is it okay that to say something? Gali, cover your ears, please." And then carry on to say something really dirty or misogynistic. And it made me feel like I was in the way, that I basically interrupted their own dynamic. And then in addition, another thing that really bothered me was the temperature in the room. Men in general, they prefer to sit in conferences that are so cold that even penguins can sit aside the table and feel fine. So aside from the physical discomfort, I felt that as if I was not, I don't belong, that I penetrated a frozen territory that is not mine. And the other hurdle I want to mention is about women's solidarity. Many times, I think I want to say in the past, women in a senior position were called the queen bee, that describe the woman that thrives in the world of male dominance, that use their position to belittle others. But I want to claim that from my own personal experience, it is not true anymore. The women I met along the way, they helped me a great deal. And there is a great strength in feminine camaraderie. And a big kindness that a woman can do to another woman is to give a real feedback about their performances. In contrast to the male bosses I had, the female boss I had was the first who gave me a real feedback. You use too many words, she used to say. You have good ideas, but it is sometimes hard for people to follow. So she didn't sugarcoat this message. She just said it to me directly so I could learn and change it. I used to hear it before. Men bosses used to tell me, you know, you are so expressive, you are good with words, you are articulate. But I used to hear only the compliment, the half compliment that they were like, and I didn't understand the criticism implied. And I think that men are very clear about feedback they give to other men. As far as the standard that they should meet in the workplace, but they don't necessarily do it to women, because sometimes they are worried about the response. They worry that if it is going to be negative, maybe the woman will start to cry, or maybe they will be maybe they will be accused of harassment, even something like that. So a boss, I know about someone that used to tell me that he used to leave the door open in such a feedback, and he wanted to make sure that the secretary was listening. But then how honest can he be when someone else is listening? And I think this is a real hurdle for women's career, because getting a real feedback is the best way to advance your career. So basically, this is just a taste of the book and things I talk about. And I want to say another thing, that my story is not special. Therefore, it is interesting. I think it is a story of almost every woman I know that has a career and a family. And I think that most of us, we don't wake up in the morning and we try to think about how we can create a change in society. We just try to go through the day and that's it. But what I think, and that was the reason why I wrote the book, is that if we tell our stories and we will compare our stories, so we will see patterns that holds women back. And by doing so, we can drive the change. So that's my introduction. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Gali. And I absolutely resonate with the points that you've been given from your friends to say, yes, some of this is ours, isn't it? Absolutely belongs to many. I'm just thinking about your various hurdles. Does any one of those have more gravity to your experience than others, or are they all equally weighted?
So I think that for me, and I think that also for others, I think the having kids is the most complicated one. I think that for many years, I used to think that 24 hours is not enough. I used to run around from one place to the other, always feeling not satisfied, that something is not right, that I don't do enough at home and I'm not doing enough at work. And I was very stressed out about it. But I want to say at this point, that there is some hope in this situation that actually the coronavirus gave us. Because I think one thing that really was very clear during this time is that we can do things a bit differently, because people started to work a lot from home, and maybe people really understand that you don't need so many hours in the office. And there is some kind of a lie that someone sold us, that yes, you have to spend such long hours in the office. And maybe it's not the most efficient way to go through the day. Maybe there are a lot of hours that are just spent there and can be, used more efficiently. And I think that that can be a real opportunity for women, that maybe they can work and have the day, I don't know, split, and have maybe lunch with the kids and then carry on working or whatever. So that's something to be more efficient. It can be a real opportunity.
Thank you. Thank you. I think we're still finding our way with that. We don't know where this is all going to settle, do we?
Yes.
Yeah. So it's fascinating. Now, the next question that I think is probably at the forefront of everybody's mind is just, where did you get the confidence and resilience to kind of keep pushing through? Why didn't you just throw in the towel and say, you know what, it's not for me?
So first of all, I want to say that I don't have the confidence. I feel a lot of anxiety, and I feel really insecure pressing every new thing that I do. It's always complicated. It's always, I have doubts, and I don't know if it will ever change, but I try when I want to do something. So I would say that I don't really have confidence, but I have drive. And so what I do, I just try to focus on the work, just do the work, do it, and keep on working and keep on doing it. And then hopefully it will be okay. And then I get some more confidence when I see the results. And I just started to think, it is stupid to basically just be too insecure not to do things, because I will lose out on so many things that maybe it won't be great, but I can learn and do better next time. And that's why I decided, like, let's say, out of the blue, to write this book. I've never done anything like that, but I just did it, and it's so surprising. I'm the most surprised person when I see it. It is like, I don't succeeding, but the people read it and enjoy it and relate, and so it's worthwhile not to let your insecurity brush you.
Oh, what a thrill. Well done and congratulations. That must be such a good feeling. I'm going to take a couple of questions from the Q&A. So just as a quick reminder to people joining us today, you can go into the Q&A function. If you've submitted your question in advance, rest assured I've got those as well. So we have a question. How do you suggest you can overcome the feeling of the only woman in the room, even if that's a reality?
So first of all, it exists. I've been in this field for, I want to say, more than 20 years. First of all, the surprising thing that it doesn't change. It doesn't really change. Even, you know what, I think that something strange that just happened to me just now. I don't know if you can see my screen, but you see, this is a picture that a friend of mine, this is another VP, Neta, she just sent it to me 10 minutes ago. So you see, it's one little woman and all of them are men. So it is the reality that we live in. It is still like that. You know, I sometimes find it that I need to match up with everyone else, that I need to be, I don't know, I want to say even be more aggressive, not to let them tell me off. And I think that this is not the best way to act. I wish we could have been, things could have been more calm. And the other thing that I can say is that I kind of got used to it. For me, it's reality for so many years, so I kind of try to ignore it and just do my own thing. So I guess if somebody will ask you about me, nobody will say that I'm insecure from this situation, but I need to work on that. Okay,
so you kind of have to just put some blinkers on.
And
just
push
forward. Keep going. Yeah, there's a real theme developing here, isn't there?
Yes.
So let's take another question. So do you think women's networks in the major project industry could be strengthened to support gender diversity further at top levels? And could they be more militant to change the culture on major programs? So
first of all, I think that yes, there should be, it happens, and there should be more. I know that I have colleagues, female colleagues, that immediately we just connect, okay? And we try to help each other because we are such a small minority. So I think that's what happens. And I think that when you have, it is just like that. I think that people tend to be more, I don't know, supportive or of people that are like them. It is just our nature. So I think that if the majority of the managers are men, so it just creates an environment that it is easier for men to progress. So we need to do it ourselves as well, or to combine it. I'll give you another example that I didn't mention in my introduction. Let's say, you know, I hire people that are in their pregnancy. It's not something that I would not do. I look ahead and I see the person, and I think that, you know, okay, pregnancy is not something to stop me from hiring someone. So I guess maybe also men can think that, but I think it is an easier decision for a woman to take. I'll tell you another example that it's not mine, it is someone else's, Sheryl Sandberg, in her book, Lean In, that I really highly recommend everybody to read. She mentions that during her pregnancy, her feet swollen, and it was really hard for her to walk. But she was a manager that it was easy for her to go to Google's, she worked in Google back then, to go to Google's managers and to say to them, it is something that really bothers me, so how about you help me with that? And immediately they allocate some specific parking spots next to the entrance for a pregnant woman. that this is a decision that nobody's against that, but you need to be pregnant in order to understand that this is something that is really needed. So it is a nice example that, if you have people, if you have a female in top positions, they can create an environment that all the other women can thrive in.
Yeah, absolutely. And that really presents a paradox for us, doesn't it? So the previous area that we explored, we said sometimes you just have to ignore it and push through. And then in other regards, you just got to name the difference and say, this is what we need to happen for us to be successful. And I'm now thinking of you as a mum of 3 boys. You're potentially growing the next generation of leaders. Well, what do you tell your boys?
Okay, so yes, I have 3 boys. I wish I had a girl as well. I didn't know how to do it, so that's it.
I'm glad you said as well and not as
well. No, I want to keep them. They are good.
Yeah.
But first of all, I think that I believe more in doing than telling them, and I think that just showing them an example of myself as a woman who has a career and combine it all, and it's possible. Like they know. And so I think for them, this is a reality that they basically were born to. And so for sure, the way they see the world is from this perspective. For them, it's natural that a woman can be a leader. So I think this is the best thing I could give them. Because anyway, they don't listen, at least not when they are in their adolescence.
They will.
They're pretty young. Yes, so I think that this is one thing. And the other thing that for me is important, I talk about pushing forward a career for women and so on. But I want to say that this is not necessarily has to be the goal for everyone, not for women, not for men. And I just want to say, I say it in the book, and I want to say it here. Should be just a possibility, an option. That if you have the skills for it, and this is your passion, so you can do it. But I want to say sometimes maybe the opposite for men, because some men don't necessarily want to be career person and to be very ambitious. Some people, maybe men, want to spend more time with their kids, and they don't need a social norm to tell them that they are in the wrong. They can thrive there as well. It can be. It should be okay. It doesn't have to be okay. If you are a man, you should have a really stressful career, and that's it. And if you're a woman, maybe not. No, everybody should follow their own ambitions.
Yeah. Absolutely right. And I think that there's also a shift that has been happening. Just recently, actually, I was approached by several different delegates within a cohort asking for the time of the first class to be shifted a bit later to facilitate a nursery drop-off. All of them were men. Now, that wouldn't have been the case a few years ago. That would not have been the case.
For sure. Yes, absolutely.
Let's go to some questions in the Q&A function. So one is, when will your book be released in English and where will it be sold?
So now we are, I'm saying we because it's not only me working on the translation to English, and it's going to be available in Amazon. What I'm going to do is also share a link with the participant, give you a nice coupon that you can all enjoy it as people who participated in this seminar. Because I really think that it can be. I wrote it from my perspective, and it is pretty local from the Israeli perspective, I would say. But I have this feeling that what I say can resonate with people around the world, and I didn't want that the language will be a hurdle for you to read. So I really hope that in the next months or so it will be available and everybody can read.
Fantastic, and we definitely appreciate a coupon. I can predict that your LinkedIn feed will be very lively when questions and comments start coming in. We have one on the Q&A function that says, I think women actually have a huge benefit through becoming parents and spending time at home. I personally learned to become more patient and tolerant than I was before. Human skills we can bring into the workplace. Which skill do you think that you learned through becoming a parent?
Right. So first of all, I agree. I think that when you become a parent, you have a different perspective of the world, and I don't think that it is good to be completely focused on one thing. So there are lots of benefits to that, to the workplace, and that's why I always encourage people to have a balance between their personal life and the work. And so one thing that I learned as a parent and also as a manager, that the people that I really like working with are people that I love to hire a woman who has three kids. I love it.
Why is that a magic number?
It is because it means that it is someone who can basically do a lot, okay? And from my experience, not that it has to be like that. It's not necessary, but I just found that these people they know how to be very efficient and to focus on the important things at home and in the workplace. And for me, it is a real advantage. So this is something I learned. I want to say that I learned to be more patient, but I don't know if it's true. I don't know.
Maybe we could test the boys.
I'm not sure if I am. I don't know. This is a quality that I don't necessarily have. But
Thank you for your honesty. We've got a really interesting thread on the Q&A, and it's regarding a book called Invisible Women. I don't know if you've come across that, by Caroline Perez, and it talks of a world designed by men and for men, with women kind of being other. So the question is, on the topic of leadership, what qualities of a female leader do you think may have been missed by our industry if we had potentially designed a leader through the eyes of a man? So personally, I'd love to see kindness higher up in the best qualities of a leader. What would you choose?
Right. So I want to answer two things. First of all, about exactly what you asked about what kind of qualities. So I think that, yes, I think that, well, kindness, yes, absolutely. I think that you should really, basically, as a manager, I think that the thing that basically the only thing that can help you succeed is your team, and to grow a team, people that you work for, that work for you for years, and that follow your leadership. And it has to be a two-way street. You need to give and get, and you need to respect them and get respect. And that is done only if you see them as people and not just, I don't know, resources. And so this is one thing that I think that I put a lot of effort on that, and I would not succeed. I wouldn't go anywhere without my team. And this is, I don't know if I do it better because I'm female, but I know that this is the way I work. But I want to say for the first sentence that you talked about that the world is designed for men. So I want to say that about something about my workplace. Let's say that the designers are mostly men, and one of the things that I try to put focus on within my work is to have to think about the user experience. We are in charge of building the new metro in Tel Aviv, and the new stations, new environment, and I want to make sure that we are focused on the client. on the people who are going to use it. And when I say, well, the people that are using it, so the first thing that you must do is try to think about different people. So it can be men, it can be women, it can be people with accessibility issues. And I want to give you a little example. So when we started to work, I work in my company for 8 years. So we started the work, and the design was already in place, but we did like an audit about the user experience. And one thing that we found is that the design that was made by a Canadian company didn't consider very well the demographic in Israel, that we have a lot of people with babies, much more than in Canada, and the design not necessarily will hold. So basically, we doubled the amount of elevators within the station to accommodate this need, because when we started to analyze the people who are actually going to use this system, we realized it's not going to work. So this is something that it's not only from a gender perspective, but just from the users, but just take into consideration, well, we are half of the population, right? So consider us in the planning, in the design.
Fantastic. And I'm delighted that you're going to that level of care for your users.
Right.
Let's change tack slightly. Let's go back in time. If you could have a conversation with your 19-year-old self, what would you tell her?
Right. So, so I think, first of all, I would say, you know, don't be more bold. You know, you are okay. It's not. I always felt that I was not in the right place. That I'm just. I was so insecure that if somebody gave me a chance, I was so amazed. I was thinking, wow, this is such a novelty that you allow me to do that. No, be more bold. You are in the right place. You have your qualities, and you can just fly. And it took me a lot of time to be more confident and to understand that it is okay. And in many reasons, I think, in many ways, I think it held me back. And I think that if I do it over, I wouldn't be like that. I would be more confident, maybe, yes.
Brilliant. And I'm going to link that back to an answer that you gave earlier about, and I'm paraphrasing now, but it was along the lines of, I need to kind of stand up to this. You used the word aggressive, but it didn't look like that was kind of the right word that you were necessarily going for. When you're looking at early career people to bring into your organization, how do you balance that potential paradox between being confident and bold and not kind of straying into the aggressive?
Right. First of all, I don't think that it has to be the same thing. The fact that somebody feels that is in a place that is in the right place, that it deserves to be in a certain place, doesn't mean that he needs to be aggressive. I want to be even maybe here there can be some contradiction. I think one of the most important thing is you in your workplace is humility, because you know, in where I work, I learned a lot in my path. I learned a lot during the days, many new fields, and I wouldn't be able to do it without understanding that I don't know everything. I must ask a lot of questions. I must understand that I don't need to have a big ego. You know, if I ask a question, if I don't understand something, I can be just blunt about it. Just say, I don't know, explain to me. Next time I will understand, but for this point I need to know more. And this is really, really important for, I think, for leaders, but also for every employee. just be open to criticism, be open to new information, realize that you don't know everything, and you can get better by doing so. And you will, if you will ask the right questions.
And that takes some confidence, doesn't it? To be able to speak up and say, I don't understand that point.
Yeah.
Can feel like quite a lonely moment, but
yeah, but
that other people are thinking the same thing.
Yeah, well, I'll just say that, specifically in the situation that I was at, or we are at in Israel, I don't know if all of you know Tel Aviv, but it's a great city. The one thing that we are lacking is a good transportation system. We don't have it at all. So when we started to work on this project, it was a real issue because there's not a lot of information. People really don't know. So when I got this position of being VP in Neta, obviously there were so many things I didn't know, and still there are things that I don't know, and that was the only way to do it. Just to say, I don't know certain things. I brought consultants from all around the world. They came to Israel. They taught us. And now we know much more things that we already know, and for the future we'll have a much more background. But that's the only way, I think.
Yeah, being curious and being open is fantastically empowering as well, which leads nicely into a question that's come in on the Q&A channel. I think you've answered some of this already, but I'm going to put it to you anyway, because it'll be interesting to see what rises to the top. What are your strong qualities as a woman director?
Okay, so first of all, I think that not only for the female, but I think one thing that is very strong with me, that I'm very determined, and I don't let go. For me, somebody say no, it's only the beginning of the negotiation. I must succeed. For me, this is like really important. And I think that the other thing, of course, I said it before, is about the team. That I think that it is so important for me to choose the right people. And then maybe I will say something else about how to choose the right person, but to choose the right people, that I think that I see that there is a chemistry between us, that we can work together, and then just to keep on nourishing that, and be there for them, always give them the team the backing. Never to say, okay, now it's your fault. It's always my responsibility as well. And the other thing, I think that it is really important for me, and also for the people that I hire, is that to say, to create an environment where is it okay to fail. People don't like to fail. Of course, nobody likes to fail. But if you look at failures or things that didn't succeed as an opportunity, then this can really be a leverage point for your career, because you learn so much more from things that you didn't succeed. And so that's one issue with it. And the other, if you say it is okay to fail, then you create an environment where innovation can thrive, that people were not worried so much. They will give you new ideas. They will be more open. They will be, you can get more from people in such a situation. So it's not that I encourage failure, okay? It's not the issue. It's just that, sometimes if you do something, if you take risks, if it is if this is the situation, so it is okay as long as you learn from it. Don't fail on the same topics twice. Just do it. If it didn't succeed, learn and carry on from this point. So that's I think what I bring to the table.
Lovely, thank you. We've got some other questions that have come in. Where am I going to go with this? Okay, here's a kind of an overarching question. What's the most valuable lesson you've learned in your career up until now? Maybe it's the way of overcoming hurdles, I guess, but is there one thing that stands out for you?
Right. one thing.
That's tough, isn't it?
One thing I want to say is to come every morning and to be satisfied yourself. To understand, like stay in a place only if you feel that you are contributing and you are learning new things. This is the most important thing for me. And I always, I have many bosses and stuff. I had bosses in the past. And for me, it's more important for me to justify myself, not someone else. And if I'm not satisfied, I feel that I'm bored, I can't contribute, I would say, okay, this is the place to stop and to move on to another place. And it's really important because if you are still satisfied and you're still learning and you're still contributing, so you'll do it with passion and you'll do it well. And I think this is the key to success. If you feel that if you feel that you are in the right place, then I guess the rest can feel the same.
That sense of feeling in the right place, I'm going to take that quite literally for a second, because when you and I met to talk about this event, I was really laughing about what you said about the air conditioning and there's the penguins in the room. And one of the reasons why I was so tickled by that was because at an early point in my career, once again, found myself as the only woman on this particular team. And I was constantly freezing cold and the men just kind of dismissed that. And I was there in shawls and scarves and what have you. It was only when a second woman came into the team that they realized that this wasn't just me being a pest. But the way they got around that, we were in one of those boardrooms that could be divided down the middle. They took away the dividers. They made us sit in one half and put the heating on, and they sat in the other half with the air conditioning on. That wasn't kind of the integrated solution that I was looking for. But it made me think, are you still often the only woman in the room? And if you are, how has that changed over the last few years?
Right. So yeah, it didn't change much. It didn't change much. I want to say in Neta we have some more women in the management, in the board. So this is a change. But I still see it. You know, sometimes they bring we bring management from companies around the world that they come over here to Israel. They still only send men. It is. I think that this field is very specific. That there's really male dominance. But I do feel that there is more awareness for those issues, like the way you speak in Israel. It is pretty problematic, because in English you say you, and you mean for both genders. In Hebrew it's different. It is there are different way of saying things for men and women, and normally even when you say welcome, so in Hebrew it says bruchim habaim, which means welcome. But now, and it refers to men. So now, just the last couple of years, they changed it, the writing, to combine it, as if it will. They found new fonts that can address both genders, and people are now much more aware that if you speak, you need to first of all, even though it's a kind of a hassle because you have to say the same word twice, so people do it. Because there is it means that everybody's welcome, and we don't need to assume that because they are the majority they address us. No, be more direct, and this is something that is changing with the language. So I am optimistic. I see the younger generation becoming more bold and more aware, and not so apologetic like we were. So there is hope, I think. But the reality, my daily reality has changed, but not a lot. Okay.
I really love that story that you've just set out for us there, because not only is it a story of hope, but the fact that it's the word that happens at the beginning that really sets the tone, doesn't it? So it really signals and symbolizes we are inclusive. And I think that, combined with the qualities that you personally bring to the table about your fortitude and your resilience, and that I love the thing that you said, no is the beginning of the negotiation. I think that's wonderful. If the welcome is the beginning, you're setting the tone, and you're making some significant changes. So thank you so much for that. I'm well aware that the way that these events are set up, that quite often there is quite an abrupt ending. So I've been gently keeping an eye on the time. We have just about 5 minutes left. So I just want to share with you in those few minutes we've got before we are rudely disconnected, with just some of the thoughts that are showing up in the Q&A function. So we had a comment early on that was thinking about your fear of not being perfect. So imposter syndrome is so common amongst women. Someone said to me that people only need to ask if they believe in you. So maybe we just need to believe in ourselves a bit more.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Yeah. So that's one of the reasons why I was keen to ask you the question of what would you say to your younger self? Yeah. I was really struck by what you said, be bold and push more. And yet there I am looking at you in your corner office. So you obviously did some bold,
progress.
Yeah, you did. And then finally, and this is a bit unfair, but I'm putting you under pressure now. So what are your top 3 keys to success? And I'm adding the pressure now because you've got about 2 minutes to give us your top 3.
Okay, so there we go. So first of all, believe in yourself.
Yes.
You should be the first person to do that. If you don't, it's problematic. Second, I would say be very determined and not let go. And the other thing I would say, third thing I would say, be open to criticism. That's the only way to improve. Nobody is perfect, but if you will embrace it and learn from things that don't go well and listen to criticism and feedback, you can be much better. So I would say those 3.
Bravo, well done. So all that is left for me to do is to say a sincere thank you to you. Thank you for all that you've done and all that you continue to do. And thank you for joining us today. It's been an absolute pleasure spending time with you.
Thank you so much. And I want to say that the prologue of the book is going to be sent to all the participants as a heads up for the book that is going to come out in English soon. So I hope you all enjoy it. And if people want to give me some feedback and share some thoughts, I will be very, very happy, because the whole point is to bring the discussion forward, and that it's not that I bring any certainties. It's just my opinions, and I want to hear more, and just everybody has room for that.
I wish you the greatest success in that, and thank you for sharing the prologue. I've had a sneaky preview. It's fantastic. It starts off with a very compelling narrative, so I'm sure you'll enjoy. Thanks, everybody. Thank you, Gali.
Thank you so much.